2 months remain in this year's legislative session in Annapolis, and lawmakers are moving forward with legislation to keep juvenile sex offenders from attending public schools in person.
Project Baltimore's Chris Papp shows us the progress made to keep your children safe.
This amendment is perhaps the most important part of this bill right now.
Last week, lawmakers in Annapolis moved forward with fulfilling a promise.
It will close the juvenile sex offender loophole.
A promise made after an explosive Project Baltimore report found a juvenile rapist was taking classes at Patterson High School in Baltimore City.
Why would we have this be the most important thing? Well, I'm not sure if you've seen it on the news. It's been all over the Baltimore news.
On Thursday, the House Judiciary Committee,
here's my question, I normally don't do this,
for more than 10 hours, heard testimony concerning Maryland's juvenile justice system.
We would respectfully request an unfavorable report.
A main topic during this year's 90-day legislative session. Throughout the hearing, multiple pieces of juvenile justice legislation were debated. About 8 hours into the hearing, Baltimore County Delegate Kathleen Schlega introduced this amendment.
What the amendment says is very simple.
A child may not attend a public school in person if the child has been convicted of rape or a sexual offense that, if committed by an adult, would constitute a felony. Each county board shall provide alternative educational options for children prohibited from in-person attendance. Delegate Schlega told Project Baltimore that amendment, or some version of it, should be added to whatever legislation the House passes this year concerning juvenile justice reform.
This is happening right now. And, if you do nothing this session, please close this juvenile sex offender loophole. Thank you.
If Schlega's amendment becomes law, it would help prevent another situation like what happened at Patterson High School last month. In January, Project Baltimore first reported on a juvenile rapist attending Patterson. In December, the student pleaded to second-degree rape in Harford County. Later this month, the 15-year-old will be in court facing another second-degree rape charge involving a second alleged victim in Baltimore County. Despite all that, he was allowed to take classes inside a public school. And because he's a juvenile who was not placed on the sex offender registry, parents and students were not informed.
I was sickened, I was angered, I was disgusted.
Republican and Democratic lawmakers were outraged.
As a parent, as any parent, immediately it was a sense of horror and hard to understand.
Project Baltimore last week sent an email to all 188 state lawmakers. We asked if they believe it's appropriate for a rapist to be attending a public school, and if this is an issue the legislature should consider addressing this session. We received many responses, mostly from Republicans, all of them stating how sex offenders should not be in public schools with other students. The House Republican caucus even issued this statement, announcing their efforts to change state law to protect school children. The House Republican leadership also sent an email to the Department of Juvenile Services Secretary Vincent Schiraldi, in part asking, why was this individual not required to register as a sex offender? Did the department know of those pending charges? And was it appropriate that no incarceration was recommended? DJS has not yet responded. Meanwhile, some Democrats have announced their intentions concerning juvenile rapists attending public schools. Democrat Sandy Bartlett from Anne Arundel County responded to our email. I support alternative teaching methods for the offender.
They have been found effectively guilty on the juvenile side of having done awful, terrible things. There is a public safety question that needs to be addressed.
The Judiciary Committee, where Delegate Schlega introduced her amendment,
we're going to get started with our bill,
is chaired by Delegate Luke Klippinger, a Democrat from Baltimore City. Klippinger told Fox 45 he and his colleagues in the House and Senate are working to address this issue. But it's tricky because students, he said, must be safe in school, but juvenile offenders must also be educated.
At the end of the day, we want to make sure that people who go to school can go to a school that's safe, And we want to make sure that we can do that while at the same time making sure that those juveniles, after they're found delinquent, they can get their education. It just probably not going to be in a traditional school setting.
How confident are you that legislation will be passed to address this issue?
I feel like if we're able to get people around the table and work this out, hopefully we should be able to do that.
Project Baltimore will continue to follow this story. We will keep you updated on the progress of any legislation coming out of Annapolis that is intended to keep your children safe in school. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Project Baltimore wants to hear from you. Do you have a story about your child's education or a concern you'd like our team to investigate? Call the tip line or send an email to projectbaltimore@foxbaltimore.com. You can also find them on social media.
I'm Chris Pabst. Thanks for watching. Here's another story to watch. Also, if you have a story idea, please send us a message.